So last week I wasn't with you. Maybe some of you have been to other daily masses cheating on me. And I just, you would have heard the book of Joshua, and Joshua is a book of conquest. It's the formal time where finally, after really 40 years and really another 40 years, I believe, just 40 years. But that generation that was with Moses and witnessed all the signs in Egypt and the Red Sea, they all died off, and Joshua now brings this new generation into the land. Now we get to the book of Judges, okay, which is the next book after Joshua. And the book of Judges is going to be kind of the connecting bridge between Joshua and 1st and 2nd Samuel and 1st and 2nd Kings, which 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings deal with the kingdom of Israel. They're not a kingdom yet. Instead, it's kind of chaotic, okay? It's going to be why eventually in 1 Samuel the people are going to be begging for a king, because there's no stability. There's nothing stable in Judges. It's very chaotic politically, socially, religiously. There's no leadership or guidance, okay? What we have in Judges instead is we have this cycle, which happens at least 12 times, okay? You're going to have in the book of Judges 6 major figures, which we call judges, and then 6 minor figures, which we also call judges. That's why it's the book of Judges. But within this book, with these 12 judges, these major judges where there's substantial information, and these minor judges where it's just kind of a brief mention, you're going to have this cycle. It's the same cycle for all of them. You're going to have the Israelites sin by usually committing some sort of idolatry. Okay, that's step 1. You're then going to have a punishment after the sin of idolatry. It's usually some neighbor and enemy coming in and taking over. Then you're going to have step 3, the repentance. Then, okay, with step 3, repentance, God raises up one of these judges. And then step 4, restoration, salvation. Okay, and it's going to happen 12 times in the book. So we're at one of these moments now with this figure, one of the judges, who goes by the name of Gideon. Okay, let's take a look at this. Gideon was beating out wheat in the winepress. Does that mean anything to you? Okay, probably doesn't to us, 2021 people here. Like, well, what's the big deal about that? Why mention it? Okay, that's always a key thing, is when something's mentioned, it's usually important, even if we don't know what it is. A lot of times it's just because we're out of the cultural context of the time. The wine press was located in the vineyard, in the middle of the vineyard. Again, so if it's in the middle of the vineyard, and again, why is he beating wheat out of it? Well, he's hiding. Okay, it's kind of a subtle way, a poetic way of telling us Gideon is hiding because he's a coward. Okay, so we have this coward, all right, who's hiding in the middle of the vineyard. Okay, because you wouldn't be in the wine press beating out the wheat. You'd be doing that somewhere else, usually probably somewhere along the road where you're more visible. Okay. The angel of the Lord comes to him, tells him that he's going to deliver Israel from the power of Midian. Midian is the one that has invaded, okay, because of the sin of Israel. And then Gideon says this, "Please, my Lord, how can I save Israel? My family is the lowest in Manasseh, and within my family, I am the most insignificant, okay, in my father's house." So not only is he saying that his family is the lowest of the whole nation, but even then within the family, he is last. So this is the bottom of the barrel here which we kind of already see the fact that he's hiding in the wine press because he's afraid. But then even more so, okay, after he gets this message, he asks for a sign. And so the angel of the Lord has him put out some cakes and some meat, puts it on a rock, and a fire comes down and cooks the meat and the rock and the cakes on the rock, and so forth. Okay, so another thing about these judges, they're not always the best quality of people, but the Lord is going to use them to save Israel anyways. And I think it's a good reflection for us. I know for me it was. It kind of hit home, just kind of thinking about that. We don't get this, and we're not going to get this in the read-in cycles, because we're going to move on to another figure tomorrow. But I believe Gideon is the one where his story, his deliverance of salvation involved having like 20,000 troops, and then the Lord kind of reduced the number by these certain signs. He's like, okay, Gideon, the ones that lap up the water with their mouths, okay, get rid of those and keep the other half. And then within the next half, God reduces the number. Again, God takes this Gideon figure, who's not a very significant figure, not one with many gifts or talents, and God even then, through his deliverance, does it by a very small number of troops. Okay, kind of show that no matter what little we have, God's power and salvation will shine through whatever little bit, if any, of talents and gifts that we have. It kind of relates to today's gospel passage as well. We think we're rich, but really God determines who are rich. As he says in the very last line of the gospel passage today, those who are first will be last, and the last will be first. Gideon was last. Okay, and we think that, okay, well, I'm retired. I really don't do much. What can I contribute? Well, you can contribute a lot. Okay, which begins right here in this chapel in front of the Blessed Sacrament. Okay, begins right here. Whatever small numbers we have, whatever lack of money we have, doesn't mean that God's mission and purpose cannot still magnify through those things. So I think really this reading in Judges, if anything, especially today's first reading, is just meant to encourage us. Beginning with the relationship with God, beginning with prayer, and then let God do his work through our insignificant lives. No matter how small it is, God can do a lot. May God bless you.